cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. No more. Black and white, no more, baby. Love, no more, baby. Just black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white, 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 white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white, 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 white.
Make me feel well, oh, I can't break the spell. I just have to be true.
Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. It's black and white.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sim Racers World TV for the season finale of the SimracerCoin Sunday GT Masters here from Okayama. My name is Hasse Rømer. I'm joined by Edward May, and it's going to be a twisted technical one for tonight. For the decisive round, drivers are indeed going to have to stay very, very sharp. We do have a three-way championship battle coming into this race that's going to have its decision here tonight. We're going to talk a lot more about that. I am very, very certain indeed. Edward, it is indeed a pleasure to have you along once again in the booth for more Sunday GT Masters action. And, well, what are your expectations coming into this race here at Okayama?
Well, we were just talking about me, Hasse, before we came on the air about this Okayama circuit and how technical demanding it is for the drivers, how unforgiving it is should you make a mistake. The track definitely punishes you with the walls very close, as you can see through, and then the gravel taps just waiting to lure you in and catch you out if you extend the track just that little bit too much. It's a circuit where you would really want the car dialed into your specific driving style. You got the car set up how you want it so you're comfortable, which is just as good, Hasse, that we've got a fixed setup round. The drivers have no say in the setup whatsoever, which brings us perfectly into this championship decider.
Absolutely. So it's going to be the final and 14th round of racing this season's Sunday GT Masters. And as we said, three drivers still in it, with Peter Plastow very much in pole position, 303 points to his name here coming into this final round. 12 points ahead of Matthew Forrest and 18 points clear of Martin de Jong. And that basically means that if Pete Plastow finished 13th, well, I guess actually if they finish equal on points, it's going to go to Matthew Forrest and Countback with 6 victories to his name against Plastow's 3, and that's 3 for Martin de Jong as well. So it's going to be 11th place or better for Pete Plastow at the moment, who's been incredibly consistent this season. He's been strong as well, he's been fast, but he's been racing so cleverly as well. And he really has been there every single race to pick up the points. Could be there to reap the fruits of that work here tonight. We'll have to see just how everything unfolds. But it's a technical track indeed, and it's not one where overtaking is necessarily that easy to do, even in these GT3 machines. And as such, qualifying today could hold quite a bit of importance here, Edward.
Yeah, it definitely will. Drivers that tend to have qualified well and have been doing so in the latter part of the season. We were focusing on Pete Plastow, talking about what a great season he's been having, picking up the points, being nice and consistent. But what about Martin de Jong? He's been off to a really good end of the season. Currently, third place as the time stand in practice. Getting ready, of course, for qualifying. I remember he's had some pretty damn good races this season, hasn't Martin de Jong?
Martin de Jong's been brilliant this season as well. And yes, indeed, last time around, he was lightning fast. And he's been so on several occasions. He's
Especially
also had his fair
half of the season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he started out strong with a win as well, but he's really been ramping up the pace here over the final part of the season. That is true indeed. Seems that the charge might have come just a little bit too late. I think he's going to have a hard time really getting to the fore of this one. He is the dark horse, but it's a lot of ground to make up for both Martin de Jong and Matthew Forrest. And with 5 points in between those two for Martin de Jong to make up, to get ahead of Matthew Forrest, that fight for second place, it's all very much alive and kicking as well.
Don't forget, though, Matthew Forrest, with the amount of race victories he's taken, it's amazing that he isn't in a better position come the end of the championship. But that just shows the consistency from this man, Pete Plastow. He's been racking up the points, racking up a few wins here and there as well. And I'll tell you what, it's a great effect. It's just about the consistent ability to finish well is what's seeing his championship probably in the best shape into this final round here at Okayama, as we follow Gaston Macaroni, who's actually, or is it Maceroni? Have you been told it
was Maceroni? Maceroni, and yes, indeed, and apologies has been sent as well. As we've got the qualifying getting underway here, I think as usual we'll be seeing a flow of cars, a flurry of machines trying to exit the pit quickly here. Timothy van der Broek is very much there. Let's see what we get the rest of the field up to here. It'll be an interesting one indeed. But just to give a last mention of the format for the season, it's 15 minutes of qualifying followed by a 45-minute race, tried and tested VRS GT3 format, which means the drivers will be on half a tank full of fuel. It's going to take them about 30 minutes into the race. So we're going to see some pit stops that are going to be in the sort of region of splash and dash-esque, but those pit stops, regardless, it would always have quite the impact on the race. We've seen decisive action in the pits as well as on track, and I gotta say it's been a really good season's worth of racing here in the Sunday GT Masters, and Muse covered a season's worth of racing here, and mind you, a season is a year here, and this is one of the long ones. But it's been great, and it's been better as well than the first season of racing altogether. It's been fantastic to watch all the way through. And with that said, we've got the first flying laps of this qualifying session taking place here. It's Timothy van der Broek, Chris Roberts, Orkun Kolak the Turk, and Matthew Forrest, but these will not be flying laps. They're going to be coming in now, and from now on the next 12-13 minutes or so.
Yeah, so Chris Roberts, we're going to go on board now just to see what he can do. Obviously, a couple of different times, but that's just purely down to the outlap. This is his first real lap in anger now. Into very tricky corner where we're going to see plenty of moves being made down into the right hander. You can use the camber to carry the momentum through, hoping for a late apex, but staying over towards the middle and the right hand side of the circuit to open up the next double left hander. Careful of the gravel on the exit. That corner really does lure you into running wide, and he runs a little bit too deep into the second of that section. So Chris Roberts losing a little bit of time. Not going to be the best lap in terms of going to the top of the timing sheets and staying at the top of the timing sheets, but he's going to get a banker in, maybe actually backing off a little bit and then going once again for a proper attacking lap. Meanwhile, let's go to Pete Plastow now, Hasse.
Yes, indeed. It's a relatively short lap around here, but you'll be kept busy. So that double left-hander, very, very tricky. It's deceptively... You know, it's deceptive because it looks easy and it looks like somewhere you can really overtake, but it's also a relatively narrow track, and that second of the two left-handers is quite tight indeed. And up you go towards the two hairpins. Actually, there are some pretty funny corner names here. I've all but forgotten to look up the actual track map, but I did check it out when coming into iRacing. The hairpin is called hairpin, but in 2 words. And as a tradition to Japanese tracks, the first corner is called first corner, and the last corner is called last corner.
Love it. Nice and simple.
Nice and simple. Something you can figure out what is, right?
Yeah, you can always tell as he just goes through first corner now and then through Williams. Lovely corner that. So technical, and people as they're running a little bit wide. That's going to be a 1x. Invalidates this lap time, so he's got to wait all over again. Another lap on these tyres before he can go out to go to the top of the timing sheets. That's currently being occupied by teammate and somewhat championship rival Matthew Forrest, doing all he needs to do to put himself in the best possible position into this final round of the championship. Currently sitting at the top of the sheets right now, and as he comes up across the line, is he going to improve his time with a bit more comfortable margin up at the top? No. Yes, he is actually, with a 27.3. Very good effort that from Matthew Forrest. Consistent in qualifying. He's the driver that's got the most pole positions of the season, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he takes another one here at Okayama, just based on what we're seeing in these first 5 minutes. a healthy amount of tow, isn't he, as well? That's actually from the car ahead. I'm not sure who it is, but whoever it is, Matthew Forrest will be thanking them come the end of this race, or not the end of this race, at the end of this qualifying session. Helping him into hairpin corner. And then down through Revolver and Piper. Double left-hand complex. Matthew Forrest leaving a little bit of time on the board there, just cautious into the corner, of course, with Dirty Air ahead. That's when all of a sudden that extra slipstream assistance starts to work against you, with the car ahead giving you a bit of aero wake so that the car doesn't quite perform to the best of its abilities. Had a little check through, and it is Savino Melillo, the car ahead. So Savino for Rebel Racing helping out Matthew Forrest just a touch here with the slipstream. But Savino, to be fair to him, has had a pretty good lap this time by, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rebel Racing driver shoot up from the 17th on the standings into probably the top 10. We're going to see what comes through, and he does set a good lap time of 28.1, puts himself P6. Decent like that from the Ferrari driver.
Absolutely so. Maybe Matthew Forrest feeling like he was held up ever so slightly there. I'm not quite sure about it, but we'll have to gonna live with that. There's Remco Barlau, the Dutchman, and he's gonna be aiming for improving upon his provisional 7th place. Although I think for once the BMW might be ever so slightly out of its element here. Doesn't really have all that much space to take advantage of its otherwise great grunt in the engine, and really
look at that. Plasto's just gone fastest.
Pete Plasto with the fastest lap, a 10th and a half up on Matthew Forrest. Brilliant stuff indeed. And it makes you wonder. I'm scouting for a certain Dutchman here. Where's Martin de Jong? Oh, he's 3rd, but he's not on track at the moment. And as I say that, he actually does come onto track.
Staying out of the way there, allowing the BMW past into turn 1. Good stuff, good awareness from Martin de Jong. Doesn't want to hamper anyone, get in the way. I think that was that Timothy van der Broek just going by? I think that was Timothy just up the road from Martin. Two Dutchmen slipstreaming one another. Martin de Jong into, well, the first outlap of this second half of qualifying, his second stint in qualifying. Drivers do tend to split the session in two, don't they, Hasse? They have sort of 7-8 minutes at the start on one set of tyres, try and get the best lap. Then they come in, then they put on another set and just go all out once more. And this is going to be the final time for Martin de Jong, at least for this qualifying session. Not going to come in for any more tyres. It's going to be him and the track now, and, well, 26 other drivers all trying to better themselves. You can see the track temperature, 24 degrees, ambient air temperature 19 degrees, so track temperature might be cooling down, but we are in the sort of early phase of the morning, just coming up to 8 o'clock in sim time here at Okayama. So track will be most likely hotting up more than anything else. So the sooner you get your lap times in, the better. But then, of course, the later you do your lap times, the more rubbers left on the circuit. They all start to cancel out. So you basically, it's just about who can set the lap time, who's the quickest, which is what qualifying's about, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't expect the track to really develop all that much, I think. Maybe with the rubbering in. Then again, you get some marbles here and there. And
Whoa.
Martin de Jong's got out-eat! And I mentioned that it's so easy to lose it there at that particular point. And Martin de Jong has found himself losing valuable time and just starts to overtake, and as soon as he corrects, he gets spat off to the right. Straight into the wall, I'm afraid.
Still have time, though. Martin de Jong, most importantly, still has time to obviously come back out onto the racing track, racing circuit, and go again.
Yeah, certainly he will, but it's going to be costly time. We've been hoping to be able to maximize his on-track time here for the end of the session. 5 minutes left on the board. Sander Kaffer in the 1-2-3 Ferrari is 7th at the moment. He'll be happy with that, I think.
I'll tell you who I missed in Hasse. I'm having a look on the circuit. I can't see Kern Mulder.
That's a good point. I don't think he is here for the final indeed, which is a shame. Our reigning champ. Expect him to be back for the coming season of racing. Of course, we do have the 4 GTs with it as well here. Ludicrous speed of Matt Sissler. Currently
it just looks faster in a straight line, doesn't it? I'm sure it isn't, but it just looks so much faster than everything else.
It looks like it's absolutely flying along, it's true. But it also looks like a car that's 20 years older than the rest of the field. I guess it's a car that pretty much is 20 years older than, pretty much 15 maybe. A fair few years between this machine and the rest of the lot. Still so great to see it on track. We say it every time, but all the while it's a beautiful car, isn't it?
It's a beauty car, indeed. The Ford GT. We do love it here in the comments box for the Sunday GT Masters. We do have a little Ford watch, don't we, just to see how they're doing. Matt Sissler for Apex Tech there, repping a car that unfortunately is no longer as popular, no longer as quick, but still very fun to drive. You can count on that. Matthew Forrest has meanwhile retaken pole position provisionally for the moment with a very good lap time of 1 minute 27.18. Cracking effort from Matthew, but Pete Plastow is back out and going to get ready to reply into these final 3 minutes of qualifying.
And it's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be possible for anyone really to get that perfect lap in with the amount of traffic out there. It seems to be quite heavy indeed. This doesn't
I think that's exactly what Pete is looking for. He's allowing cars past, trying to get himself into that perfect window.
Yeah, exactly. And now Martin de Jong is on another flyer here. He's coming in towards the final sector through the double hairpins. And 2 right-handers to go for the Dutchman in the 79 machine. See just what kind of pace he can find on the fixed setup of the Audi. The baseline setup it is used here and tonight. .27.35, so that's going to be an improvement. It's going to be an improvement. Personal best for de Jong. But not quite enough to topple either of the virtual racing compound machines up ahead.
Tell you what though, this Lamborghini is a very good car for this circuit, for this track, and Matthew Forrest is certainly at one with car and track, just running a little bit wide through Revolver. But the car is it's so good accelerating, Hasse. This Lamborghini, when you just push the accelerator, it goes, and you've got obviously slow speed corners. It's all about acceleration here and the way you can pitch the car in. It doesn't necessarily favour others like the Ferrari with its straight line speed. The BMW as well with its ability through the medium and high speed corners. I think ones to watch are definitely going to have to be Matthew Forrest in the Lamborghini. Maybe Martin de Jong, of course, in the Audi. Very similar cars, Lamborghini and Audi. And then maybe watch out for a few Porsches going on the race, because those cars very good with the direction change. You're going to see that coming into these sorts of corners. This final sector here with the left-hand hairpin and the right-hand hairpin right after. It's going to really suit that car's strengths.
Yes, indeed. Brilliant stuff indeed. The analysis from Edward May. Here's Rob the Lobster, the series organizer, as the vegan Mercedes. There's a bit of a slidey moment in behind there. And then, of course, is Stephen Orrell, 12th at the moment. And
you can see where certain cars are more at home, can't you, at certain areas of the track. This first sector, definitely more BMW, Ferrari territory, also Mercedes going well through here. But then you come into this corner, trying to slow it down in front, all of that weight needs to get stopped somehow, and the Mercedes struggles just a touch, as does, of course, the BMW trying to get it stopped in time for the corner. And then all the way down into this sector where we're seeing here Martin de Jong. Obviously the Audi, very popular because you can just turn and it responds very nicely to you, as well as accelerates out brilliantly. Checker flag being waved here. Martin de Jong, what can he do as he comes through the final couple of corners? Hasse, all other drivers can't improve. Matthew Forrest, Pete Plastow, their qualifying session is over. It's just Martin de Jong now to improve. Can he come across the line quicker than the rest? Where will Martin de Jong do? He's currently P3, comes across the line. What's it going to be? Is he going to get onto the front row? No, not quite. Stays P3, not improving on his time. And then our focus shifts further back. Timothy van der Broek, he's coming up to the line. The 611 BMW Stage 1 racing driver improves his time, but not his position, staying in P5. Mariano Lazarte, Virtual Racing Compound driver, just got this sector which doesn't favour the BMW. You can see the car struggling as well to put the power down. The BMW is quite weird with the way the TC cuts in and means that the rear end actually slides in as soon as the traction control kicks in, slows you down on throttle application out of the slow speed corners if you're too eager. That's just what we've seen happen to Mariano. And up to the line comes the BMW driver. It's not slowing down that much though, because he goes P4. Great lap there from Mariano.
So Lasarte fourth indeed. Here's Dirk Brinksma in the John Player special liveried Audi. But it's Forrest ahead of Plastow on row 1, then Martin de Jong and Mariano Lasarte on row 2.
Must have been a very good lap from the Argentine to get P4, because you saw, didn't we, Hasse, that little mistake coming through the third to last corner. Just a little bit twitchy on the exit, but he got it down very nicely, didn't he, through those final couple of corners and clawed that time back. I wonder, without that mini mistake, would we be seeing a different car in P3?
That is a good question indeed. There we have it, the grid order, by the way. So Matthew Forrest, as we mentioned, on pole position ahead of his teammate and championship rival, Peter Plastow in second, with the third man in that fight, Martin de Jong in third position indeed, Mariano Lasarte in fourth, Dirk Reski and Timothy van der Broek on row 3, then Gaston Maceroni and Remco Barlow row 4, with Sander Kaffer and Nicolas Cucato on row 5. Savino Melillo is joined by Nuno Vinagre on row 6. And then on row 7, it's Stephen Orwell and Matt Sisseler. Jose Godinho, it's joined by Stuart Jacklin and Chris Roberts and Cody Steeg on the 9th row of cars, with Damian Kober and Robert van den Heuvel. They're sneaking into the top 20 on the grid. Dirk Brinksma is 21st, with Cladera, the Spaniard, in the Anime Mercedes in 22nd place, ahead of Sandro Orsini and Orkun Kolak 24th. 25th is Craig Thompson, and then at the end of affairs for this race, at least on the grid here, is indeed Alfredo Tricarici. With that said, Edward, I think we've got drivers lining up, and we've got a green flag about to drop on the season finale here from the Sunday GT Masters, brought to you by SimracerCoin, and also in collaboration with HM Digital and Driver 61.
Yeah, cracking stuff to have everyone on board for this season, and also for the season finale. Matthew Forrest, Pete Plastow, championship rivals and teammates up on the front row. Matthew Forrest, pole sitter, can determine the pace, set the starting order for this race as the pace car gets underway, the safety car, for a short lap, so the drivers don't have time to get enough heat into their tyres. Could be interesting, add a little bit more spice into turn 1, Hasse.
Absolutely so. It's something really being careful of. Want to make sure that the tires at least don't lose temp from you grit and start rolling till you start running. It's going to be under control from Matthew Forrest here in a moment's time, as the safety car is going to peel off into the pits on the right. A quite tricky pit entrance, by the way, as well, one that starts earlier than this, by the way. But let us see, it's an early go as well from Forrest, and it's a very early go from Martin de Jong, and I think that might have been a little bit of too early of an overtake.
No, he's fine.
He's fine
on the
before the
right-hand
line.
lane.
We'll have to see about that.
Oh, no!
That was a huge touch! Oh my word! And it's De Jong's in the wall. And that's going to be championship hopes and chances over for the Dutchman, I'm afraid.
Was that Gaston just getting a bit too late on the brakes? I'm not sure. It seemed like a BMW got involved into the incident. We'll have a look, Hasse, won't we? Of course, in due time, once all the cars have somewhat stabilised themselves and sorted themselves out coming into the hairpin. But, oh my word, what drama already. We said, Hasse, the cold tyres could be a factor into turn 1. I didn't expect it to be so dramatic, though. Here we go. Looking back from Pete Plasdow. You can see it's a good getaway, isn't it? From, oh, and it's a hit up the rear, actually. From the Porsche, the 36 Porsche, I think.
And it's Dirk Reski with a bit of contact there. Sent the car ahead, drifting into a bit of space that was occupied by another car up ahead. And that is not going to have gone down too well, I think, with Martin de Jong in the end. The most unlucky of souls, and not the only one, by the way. There was more trouble in behind, as I was seeing it, at least. Because Gaston Maceroni has gone off track as well as he collects Timothy van der Broek.
Oh, that happened there. Maybe if we go on board, we can have a look, because it seemed like a very, very strange incident. Mercedes
he was coming too heavily on the brakes. Yeah, and the car
you don't ever see
lighter.
That, do you?
No, that doesn't
really,
happen
with the
all
Mercedes, full load of fuel, it is tend to be a lot more stable on the brakes, as is the BMW.
Yeah, that is true indeed. Great start, though, for Matthew Forrest, who's now pulling out the advantage on Peter Plastow. And Plastow knows that he does not have to take any chances today. 11th or better, and he will be the champion regardless. So it is really all in Peter Plastow's hands at the moment. Still 40-some minutes left to be raced here at Okayama. And Sander Kaffa has had a great start here with all the chaos ahead. He's up into 4th place now, pressuring Dirk Reski here.
Yeah, I'm going to be demanding Hasse maybe and ask to see that first lap, that first turn 1 from Sander Kaffa's point of view if we can, because that was probably very scary for him, but he got through nonetheless, right in behind Dirk Reski, who of course we saw involved in that incident into turn 1. Oh, thank you very much, Hasse. You're absolutely on the ball here. So let's have a look. Not the best of starts actually from Sander Kaffa. You can see him, the number 16, Remco Barlow, getting the better of him there around the outside, but then all of a sudden there's pandemonium into turn 1. Sander Kaffa down the inside. Easy does it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be all that more complicated as such. When the road sort of opens up ahead of you, but Kaffa finds himself being touched as well by the Porsche there of Dirk Reski. And that was sort of speak of the sun and it shall shine in your face. One of those sort of moments. Damien Koba, I'm afraid, has had a problem. And Martin de Jong, it's not been the first time for him. Look at that car. It's absolutely crabbing. And it makes you wonder if he's been off again. Or I think he was just maybe quite annoyed that that car is finished for today, I'm afraid. And Kaffa has indeed lost position. It's now Nicolas Cocato next in line to challenge the German Dirk Reski in the Porsche 911. Currently in 3rd place. You just said it as well, Edward, that the 911 was probably going to be a strong machine for this race tonight. It certainly seems that way. Another fastest lap, by the way, for Matthew Forrest, pulling out another half a second on that lap alone, which is super strong pace from the Brit.
Yeah, monstrous stuff. It's a shame though that we don't have any more Lamborghinis, so you can't compare the Lamborghini pace to the rest of the field. You can only compare Matthew Forrest to everybody else. But I tell you what, that car and that driver do look to be going very well here at Okayama. Matthew Forrest extending his advantage lap after lap, corner by corner. As we see Chris Roberts now in the Porsche. It's a good run out of the corner, good acceleration, but then the top end speed, the ludicrous speed from Matt Sissler for Apex Tech is proving to be just too much for Chris to try and get the better of. And look at the rear end stepping out. It's a lively beast, isn't it? All of that V8 grunt going out the slow speed corners. It's a bit of a handful from Matt Sissler. He's
and again.
doing all right again. He's getting, I think he's just getting too much heat into those rear tyres now. It's getting the vicious cycle. Too much heat causes more sliding causes more heat, and it becomes a very nasty, nasty spiral to try and get the better of.
Yeah, indeed. And it's something I think every iRacer out there has tried that in any rear-wheel drive car at least. You have that effect of the car never really wanting to properly settle once the tires really start overheating. Matt Sissler is doing well though. Here comes Chris Roberts up the inside into turn 1. Sissler is hanging it on the outside. Roberts could have taken up a little bit more space there if he wanted to make sure he got the move done, but Sissler is hanging on to it.
Brilliant.
Quite well indeed here. Up ahead is Stephen Orrell, who's challenging... Oh, and then Dirk Reske!
He's reversing onto the racing line.
Oh, we're going to just see what happened there. Reske, that's all on his own. Came in much too fast.
And then he reverses here onto the racing line, and cars have to take evasive action. You can see it there. That's a little bit naughty from Dirk, but it's, I think, the frustration more than anything else. He's not doing it maliciously. It's just frustrated that he made that mistake all by himself, and he was trying to get back up to racing speed as quickly as possible, but he is now down right at the rear end of the field. The only drivers behind are in the pits.
So that's thrown it around again, and it's now Matthew Forrest, of course, still leading Peter Plastow. No changes at the head of the field there, but third place seems cursed for this one. And it's now the turn of Nicolas Cucazzo. Under pressure, though, from the 22 GTZ Bulls machine of Nuno Vinagre, who's been driving quite strongly. And he'll be trying to get that podium place. I think Remco Barla will sense some kind of opportunities here as well. And then the number 12 car of Savino Melillo, Sander Kaffa, and Stephen Orrell. So still really bunched up between all the aforementioned cars.
Just looking at the pace from Matthew Forrest, I think it's again very strong, eking out another couple of tenths to Pete Plasdow, but Matthew Forrest, even if the race was to finish as it is, he would not be crowned champion. Pete Plasdow's second place is doing exactly what he needs to do, just staying in the positions to secure the championship. He can afford to finish second place as long as, well, he doesn't need to worry about anything else, does he? Up until the point where he's down P11, which at the moment is looking very unlikely for Pete Plasdow, just based on how his pace is.
That is a good point. Sander Kaffa's trying to line it up here on Savino Melillo. It just goes to show it really isn't easy to get the overtaking done here. Down into turn 1, that's one of the places you could theoretically get in there, but he doesn't quite get the run there. He has a look. It's going to be too far back indeed.
Puts Savino Melillo off his line though, just a touch. That little look to the inside, meaning drivers looking more in their rearview mirrors than out of the front windshield. Smart tactic, of course, to try and fill the rearview mirrors, force a mistake from your rivals, as we see now Rob the Lobster right behind. Love the sound of that McLaren. Oh, beautiful, beautiful car. The flamethrower itself, as Robert throws the car down into a very long, deceptively long right-hander before rising up the hill, up towards the hairpin corner.
And it's just
not close enough, though, is he, to make a move?
Yeah, indeed. Sorry, Edward, but it's just... It's such a tiny machine, the McLaren. It just disappears in behind. the Mercedes, and hardly anything of it really left visible. It's known as quite a twitchy car to drive, but I think it would do well in capable hands here. And Fernand Handel's really risen through the ranks as well so far this race. It's been looking good for him. Here's Lasarte with another bit of trouble for himself, I'm afraid. And Damien Koba is at quite the problem as well. Oh,
And
word.
that was before the incident that we just saw. So that was why the car was all out of shape earlier from Lazarte. Let's have a little look at this again, Hasse. So it's all three cars. There's a mismatch of pace. For some reason, I'm not sure what happened. Maybe there was a slowdown or something, or it was a poor exit. But Pedro Cladera was slow coming out of the corner. Everyone else had a great run, and then they decided to go 2 wide, then 3 wide, then 2 wide again. Then they were all confused about who was where. The spotters probably got confused as well. They all merged together, and it's just a bit of a mess.
That was quite a bit of a mess indeed. Another look there from Sander Kaffa on Savino Melillo, but Melillo knows that the Dutchman is indeed just that slight bit too far back. Sandro Orsini is having company from Chris Roberts. As Roberts on the outside, he's gonna try for the cutback. Orsini's just gonna park the car in the apex, trying to squeeze Chris Roberts. And that Gabbiano Porsche certainly holding up Roberts at the moment, but one thing is catching up to, quite another thing getting past here. This is a very good example of it. Indeed, he's just keeping his line on the apex. Roberts has to get his nose in somewhere. Has to wait for Orsini to get a good run, where Chris Roberts also has the space to take advantage of it. Let's see, I think this time around into turn 1 might just be it.
Close enough. You can just see Chris Roberts is working hard to try and get through. Can't find a way past. Sandro Orsini doing a very good job of making his Porsche as wide as it possibly can be. The cars now, they're squabbling together, looking around the outside. Is he going to be diving to the inside? Chris Roberts, no, isn't. Instead, you can see taking a wide line through the corner, shallowing it out to try and get out the power nice and early. Get the good drive now into the hairpin. Look at how close he's getting now in the acceleration, in the slipstream, moving to the inside. Is he going to send it, though, on Sandro Orsini? No, too far back. Once more, Sandro has it covered. There's Dirk Reski. What's going on here? Oh, very strange incident that from Dirk Reski. Very weird.
He's lost it on the inside there, and Chris Roberts is through on Sandro Orsini. Is it going to be a late lunge into the hairpin?
Oh, no, I think it was Sandro just making a mistake, and then Chris saw it and went for it.
Yeah, that looks that way. We're going to go on board with Chris Roberts. Going to tell us a bit more. Yeah, indeed. Oh.
I think what happened is Sandro turns in for the corner, then gets a snap of oversteer, corrects it. That sends him wide. And it was a very late move from Chris, but a very smart move as well to avoid contact.
Yeah. Yeah, not crashing and overtaking all in the same frame of time there. Not too bad, is it? So, Sander Kaffa still wanting to get the better of Savino Melillo up ahead in that number 12 Ferrari. These two Ferraris, of course, on the exact same setup. As you see, they are on the more or less exactly same space of tarmac here, just about 15 minutes into this race. Edward, a third of the race gone now. And we've seen quite a bit of drama unfold, as I think we mentioned as well and spoke about it coming into this broadcast as well, the two of us, that it was expected that overtaking certainly wouldn't be easy around here, and I think that's exactly what we've seen here tonight.
Yeah, it's proving difficult, but drivers are still able to make the moves, aren't they? Which is the good thing. They have to work for them, though, and that makes it all the more sweeter when you can pull them off. Savino Melillo, Sam McCaffer locked in a great battle, you have to say. As Chris Roberts, I think, is closing now back up to the Ferrari ahead of Alfredo Tricarici. So all of a sudden, that fight looking very intriguing. How it's going to go ahead, and I think Chris Roberts has just now got ahead. Yes, he has. Great move there. Looking good for at the moment, but don't count out Nino Vinagre for GTZ Bulls. He's having a good race here this evening as well. Could be intriguing to see how the different cars are wide count. You can see it's a Lamborghini. Not Lamborghini. Get myself confused. It's a Audi, Porsche, BMW, and Ferrari all in this fight together. So the cars stronger in different areas. To be fair, we do have 5 different cars in the top 5 spots. What more could you ask for, Hasse? This is perfect.
Grand indeed. Well, a bit of a connection issue just there a second ago. That I do apologize for that. I hope that won't be something we'll see any more of. But yeah, Kokato, Minagre, then Remco Barlau. A bit of a gap. Then down to Savino Melillo and Sander Kaffa, who's duking it out down there. But these 3 are going to be fighting, I think, all the way through this one. Coming in towards the 20-minute marker. And towards the real pit window as well. In which we often see drivers go towards the 30-minute marker, but some also seem to prefer to take it on sort of just on a 50-50 split on the time they'll have to do then. So 22 and a half minutes of racing, and then they'll come in for that pit stop. So we'll see if we see any early traffic coming in. And here's Kaffa, still trying to get at it, still wanting to get past on Savino Melillo, still finding no luck whatsoever. And in behind, Stephen Orrell, Martin DeYoung, who's back out after quite some time in the pits, moving up through the pack even, and there is Matt Sisler. It's up into 9th place in the Ford GT here, Edward.
This is going very well for Matt Sisler in the top 10, like you mentioned. Ford GT going strong, waiting for nobody, displaying ludicrous speed at the moment, isn't he? Up inside the top 10, getting a always getting a nosebleed, Matt Sisler, from how high up he is at the moment.
Yeah, and another great, just a great picture of the kind of racer he seems to be, that just wants to keep it clean and stay out of trouble, which will usually take you pretty far. Well, of course, it takes you far anywhere, but especially here at Okayama, where trouble seems to be amongst the lower hanging fruits on the trees here in Japan, and certainly a much different track as well from both Fuji or Suzuka. I guess more reminiscent of Suzuka than Fuji, if anything, but still without a lot of the medium and high speed corners that sort of characterize Suzuka, and in that regard still a different layout altogether. One could say they have the thing in common that it's not easy to get past another car on any of the 2 tracks. That's of course down to personal opinion as well. But as you mentioned as well, it's not because it's impossible, and that's worth mentioning too. So of course always possible for people to make those overtakes, but it's a difficult one here indeed. Sander Kaffa, I think one of the first drivers to blink here to get his pit stop done. Barlow did it on the lap before, so that's going to be an interesting one to follow. Remco Barlow, early pit stop here for the Dutchman.
Good stuff from Remco Barlow. Just getting a bit twitchy there on the exit. You can see there, again, the BMW out of the slow speed corners can't put the power down. As well, this is where the BMW starts to eke out a little bit more of an advantage compared to the Porsche through these high to medium speed corners, sweeping on through, closing that gap back down. Now you can see Remco Barlow getting closer and actually going through on the Porsche. So that's great stuff from Remco Barlow. Or Polak just getting out of the way. Rebel Racing driver opting not to go for the fight there.
Yeah, and having him not at the pit stop yet, that sort of makes sense. Here's Alfredo Tricarici. Gets done by Jose Coutinho. Coutinho has also had his pit stop. I'll be hoping to improve. And now the pit stop for DIS Racing and Stephen Orrell. Look at this here, Nuno Vinagre again getting close to the tail of Nicolas Cucato. Could be a move on the books here for the 911.
As well, this is a bit of a cat and mouse game between Cucato and Vinagre at the moment. Cucato with the track position, Vinagre though into this sector. You can see the car turning in a lot more responsively. Porsche with the able to get their nose pitched in very quickly. You can see just into these low speed corners a lot faster from Nuno Vinagre, but across the course of the whole lap, the Audi is marginally quicker. Cucato in his own element. But what are they going to do? Is Nuno thinking, I'm getting held up here in clear track space, I'll go fast, so I'll go for the undercut? Or is he thinking more about just extending this stint, going as long as he can on this tank of fuel and spending more time, less fuel on board? Maybe putting in at the same time as Cucato, as Nuno looks to the inside just a bit, filling the rear view mirrors of Cucato, but Cucato, he's wise to it. He doesn't need to defend from that far back and stays in P3.
I'm just wondering, with Remco Barlow, who seems to have fallen quite a bit away down the order on that round of pit stops. Gets through on Chris Roberts, which you would expect here, but yeah, a little bit of a surprise to me. We did see someone else coming in as well. That was Sander Kaffa. But Kaffa's a few positions down as well here. Orrell's been in. And then Godinho in the GT Bulls Audi. He's in 16th place at the moment. On these pit stops has led Sisler in the Ford GT up into 6th place here, which is indeed great to see. I think he'll be having his hopes up high here at Okayama. Bit of a strange one in the end, not the track you'd expect the Ford GT to be running well at, but Spaceballs the Ford and the ludicrous speed on the rear wing there indeed. Does indeed seem to be going quite well. Of course, he has yet to have his pit stop. He'll be further down when he rejoins the track, but he was sitting comfortably there in 9th place as they came into the round of pit stops. So it's looking pretty decent for Apex Tech here.
just watching Matt Sissler go, really. I'm in awe of the Ford. He really seems to be going well at a track that you wouldn't expect it to. Okayama, not the circuit that you'd think Matt Sissler and the Ford GT would feel right at home at, but something about this car, this track, doesn't make any sense, but they go well together.
Yeah, indeed. And seems to have gotten into the groove as well. Had those twitchy moments there earlier in the race, but seems to be more in tune with the baseline setup on the Ford GT nowadays. Peter Plastow has taken his pit stop here, 26.5 minutes into the race. Just under 20 minutes left to go. So he might see a bit of traffic coming out of it, and that's a good reason as well to stay out for as long as possible. To basically make sure that you're maybe even one of the last drivers to take the stop, because you just definitely want to make sure that you don't come out head first into traffic. Here comes Peter Plastow. And I'm afraid that's just what's he gonna do. He's gonna get into some of that traffic himself. With Robert van den Heuvel a second and a half up the road. Well, van den Heuvel, I think, is gonna be quick to get out the way, but we're gonna see just what kind of implications the pit stop has. Here is Kukatsu and Vinagre, and those two, Edward, are indeed still going at it here.
They are. They're really just playing coy with one another as backmarker traffic gets slightly in the way, and Vinagre dives to the inside, doesn't want a car between himself. He wants to see where Nicholas is at all times, which, why would you blame him? He wants to know where that target is. It's going to be a battle for P3, even though it is P2 at the moment. We'll see when the pit stops organise themselves back out. Keep an eye though on the pace of Remco Barlow, seeing what he's doing. No, pitting early is the right call though. Usually you spend more time trying to deal with traffic rather than actually in clear air. Might be seeing him fall a little bit short come the end of the race, but we never know what can happen, do we, Hasse? We like to pretend that we do in the comments box, but oftentimes the drivers have a bit more of an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, indeed, and it's also easier when you can feel the tires, feel the car, and you
feel how the race is going as well from the cockpit. You can get a sense, don't you, just from what way the momentum's going.
Yeah, exactly, and it leaves us guessing sometimes, but the drivers often have a good idea, and sometimes you also need to take a chance here and there, and to see if something's left to be gained in the end, and not just to play it safe forever, so to say. Was that Pedro Marimon Cladera? I am afraid it was standing still at... No? It looked like there was a car on the inside of the track there in the corner, but might just have been a a bit of a tow truck or something there, trackside. Well muddled, if that's the case. Sander Kaffer and Orkun Kolak. Orkun Kolak actually driving a pretty good race as well, but one of the last drivers who's yet to make the pit stop though. So that's worth remembering.
Seeing all of this unfold right now. Kakato in with Vinagre. Still knows the tail as Matthew Forrest is far and away fastest driver on the circuit. Look at just the pace. The gap that's been able to be equal out over the course of this lap, but now to go down to the inside into the pits. Very tricky pit entry. Does he get it right? Just gonna see. So easy as well just to overcook it slightly into this right-hander, but no, everything seems fine. Then you slow down for those 2 yellow cones, which he does. Nice and safe pit entry from Matthew Forrest. And now it's going to have to be a battle between him and who was closest to him on the track, Pete Plasdow. I think, for all intents and purposes, Matthew Forrest will come in and out of the pits in P1. As we follow Nicholas Cacato and Nuno Vinagre, who've managed to extend it by another lap. Really able to make the fuel work for them. So Cacato and Vinagre inherit P1 and P2 as Matthew Forrest is already coming through out to the pits in P4. And look at this, a Ford GT. It won't stay there, but at the moment it's on the podium.
It's brilliant indeed. Matt Sisler is going to be happy with that.
How is the V8 not slurped up all the fuel though?
I cannot. That's a question I can't answer, Edward. I simply do not know the answer to it. I was just going to comment upon the fact that it's a 7.3 second advantage for Matthew Forrest over Pete Plastow. So a really comfortable situation for the race win. But in the end, in terms of the overall championship, for Pete Plastow, it isn't going to matter all too much here, is it?
Yeah, it's just unfortunately for Pete Plastow, not enough to win the race, but as it stands, he will win the championship with this performance, keeping it nice and consistent. Came into this round knowing the job he needed to do, and tell you what, he's done a cracking job of doing exactly that. As now, Ricardo and Vinagre coming into the pits together. Battle from the pit crews, essentially. Who's going to get stopped on the box quickest, who's going to get quickest out of the blocks, and all that good stuff. As Matt Sisler as well comes into the pits. The V8 has slurped the last of its fuel down and now needs to get a refill. Coming into the pits. Matthew Forrest then coming through into turn 1 in the lead of the race. Pete Plastow will pass Cacato and Vinagre. Cacato just a little bit quicker on the draw, is he? Yes, he is, and actually he's been able to extend his advantage into the pits as Matt Sisler gets passed by Remco Barlow now. Remco Barlow actually getting in between Cacato and Vinagre.
That's going to be an interesting one, yeah?
Brilliant stuff from Remco Barlow actually to get through there. I would have expected him to be way down out of the order from pitting as early as he did, getting caught up trying to pass traffic. But no, he's up into P4 and can definitely challenge for that podium.
And look at here. Matt Sisler has had a really short pit stop. He's certainly being mindful of the fuel here. He's trying to go short. He's trying to basically under fuel and then make it to the end. I think he sees as his best chance. Currently 7th in this race, but out ahead. We mentioned it before, we will say it again. Seemingly cruising at the front of the field here, Matthew Forrest, who, to be fair, so far in this race, Edward, as we're coming into the final 10 minutes, has been in a class of his own, really. The gap's extended up to about 8 seconds down to Pete Plastow. So, for Plastow to win this race, it's gonna either take bad luck or something very special indeed. It's looking good though for VRC in for another one too, and then for Pete Plastow to take the overall drivers' championship if it stands like it is right about now. So we're into the final 10 minutes of this season now here, Edward.
10 minutes to go. Matthew Forrest leading the way in. To be fair, it's been a great race from Matthew Forrest so far. Been absolutely dominant, you have to say, here at Okayama. No one's been close to him in terms of qualifying pace and consistency as well over the race distance. He has been absolutely the driver to beat, and no one has been able to answer to him. And it's interesting actually, because Matthew Forrest in the Lamborghini has been, from memory, he's struggled a little bit in these fixed setup rounds. When he gets the car how he wants it sorted, then he's very, very quick and very difficult to beat. But in the fixed setups, we've seen him oftentimes come undone, but not today's one with the car, but maybe a little bit too late in the season to snatch the overall championship victory. As we see Orkan Kolak squabbling with the Miku machine. Pedro Marimon Cladera in behind, filling the rearview mirrors of the number 4 Porsche. And filling the rearview mirrors of the Ford GT. Sander Kaffer, who's, he said, had a pretty good start to the race. Then got caught up in incidents. Now he's going to look to try and have a good end to the race. And by doing that, he's going to need to get through on Matt Sizzler now.
Yeah, he's going to be trying for all that it's worth and to the absolute best of his abilities. That Ford GT is not an easy car to get the run on. It's evident you're not really gaining all that much in the straight lines. Looks to me like the Ferrari is able to brake quite a bit harder. Sander Kaffer, I don't think he's really found himself able to set up the move so far. Slight oversteer into the final sector. And we'll see just where this one is going to be going.
Sander Kaffer is really, really trying to find a way through, but Matt Sizzler uses the Ford GT's strengths of straight line speed. Acceleration out of the corner is very good, though, from the Ferrari. Gets closer and closer, but then up into the braking zone for the corner. Does he go down the inside? He's going to send it. Matt Sizzler, though, again, hanging it around the outside. Look at how careful Sander Kaffer was into turn 1, actually getting wheels onto the grass on the inside, leaving plenty of space for Matt Sizzler to just send it around the outside and hold on to P7. Sander realises, though, that doesn't want to have any more contact than he's already had in this race. Wants to get through relatively unscathed. This is on the exit as well. Very good. But the acceleration is really where the Ferrari comes into its own. It also does have good top speed, a good all-rounder, really, the Ferrari. Jack of all trades. Coming into the hairpin now. As Matthew Forrest going off and away far into the distance. There's Pete Plastow. You can't even see him in the background as he makes his way into turn 1. There we do, as Matthew Forrest is braking for turn 1. Pete Plastow is accelerating out of the final turn.
Yeah, indeed. It's a comfortable cushion. We've seen bigger advantages in this series throughout this season, but so far it's looking pretty strong for Matty Forrest. But again, Pete Plastow, we've mentioned upon it as well, Edward. We need to just cast the mind to the fact that Pete Plastow doesn't really need to take any chances. Oh, he's been hit! Plastow! And I think the car
Suspension
is...
damage.
Suspension damage. It's absolutely crapping! Oh, and Plastow! With 6 minutes left of the race!
He's trying to bring it back to the pits. What on earth was going on there? Oh my word, he's trying to bring it back to the pits. He realizes that towing might be quicker at this point. It's taking him so long to go down this back straight. But what could Pete do? It's not what. So what happened? Sandro Rossini got it all wrong. And then gets onto the throttle, doesn't stay stationary.
And Plastow has
Dropped down into P17. He's going to be out of the championship. That's going to be Matthew Forrest coming away from this round, this final dramatic round, into the final 5 minutes. The championship has been turned on its head, but in the right position, doing what he needs to do. Matthew Forrest, we said it'd take something dramatic to take away from Pete Plastow's advantage. We weren't expecting that. though.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. Shocking development to this race within the final minutes of the race here. Just as we were maybe beginning to think that the cards had been played, there was still lap traffic and an incident ahead of Pete Plastow, no fault of his own. And it's a bit of a head shaker for me, that one, because there were no real reason for Sandro Rossini to come on the throttle as Plastow was approaching. And at the late stage, there's not much chance for Pete Plastow to even get back on track, I think, Edward, with the required repairs.
There's
And
nothing
it's not
Plastow
gonna-
can do. Even if he comes back onto the track now, there's too many cars in front of him to overtake in the final 3 minutes of racing now. And that means that, for all intents and purposes, Matthew Forrest is going to come away with a championship as long as he can navigate these final few laps safely. It's his for the taking. But we've already had some drivers. Look at how damaged the car is. He's having to turn the wheel nearly 270 degrees to keep it in a straight line. This is what happens. So he goes to the inside and then it accelerates.
And you can see that Plastow thinks that it's situation clear, you know, because he's accelerating.
Sees the car stationary. He
Yeah.
thinks it's fine. He goes to the inside. It's a 50-50 call. In a normal situation, either one would be fine. Either going to the right or the left would be fine because the car wouldn't move. But because there's that acceleration, I'm not sure if he doesn't have the relative up or what, but that has had huge implications, and Pete Plastow is going to be absolutely livid. You can imagine how upset he is going to be. I don't think Hasse will be interviewing Plastow. He'll be needing a little while, I think, to cool off after that, because the way he's driven this season has been brilliant. He's been the consistent finisher. He's been putting in brilliant performances all season long. And for it to be taken away in such a fashion so late on, when it looked all wrapped up, it's nothing short of just cruel.
Absolute heartbreak for Pete Plastow, I'm afraid. And it's just a sinking feeling in the heart that you're left with. Because indeed he has been the class of the field in terms of consistency. He's had very, very few incidents. He's been such a careful driver over the course of the season. And then come the final minutes of the final race, and his luck runs out in such a dramatic way. We're into the final minute here. And what looked improbable at the start of the race is gonna end up becoming fulfilled for Matthew Forrest. He's gonna see the white flag this time around, Edward. It's gonna be the final lap here for Matthew Forrest. The two teammates coming into this one, 1 and 2. And they've had their fair share of controversies around the season, which has really added to the spice of this season as well. It's been a great duel between the overall top 3 all the way through. And with 6 wins to his name, you can't say it's been undeserved in any way for Matthew Forrest. But you gotta feel sorry for Pete Plastow in a situation like that. Really, you gotta feel with Pete Plastow, I think. Taking nothing away from Matthew Forrest, who has perhaps been the quickest driver this season. But he's had a few incidents here and there, and the Lamborghini, a fast but also twitchy machine. But Edward May, he's going to complete this lap to take the checkered flag and take the Sunday GT Masters Championship along the way here.
What a dramatic end to an already dramatic season. Matthew Forrest did everything right tonight, though. Don't take it away from him as he rounds out through the final corner. Pole position, fastest lap, led basically every single lap. A brilliant drive from Matthew Forrest, and he comes up to the line to take a very deserved race victory and a very deserved Sunday GT Masters Championship. Brilliant drive from Matthew Forrest. He needed a little luck, but he got it his way. And to be fair, can't fault him because he has taken as well on his way to this championship the most race victories, the most pole positions out of any driver. So cracking stuff from Matthew there.
Absolutely so. And Melilo, Kaffa. Oh, and what has happened to the Ford GT of Matt Sisler? He's been in for an extra pit stop, I'm afraid, and he ends outside the top 10 here. No! Sisler underfueled. Oh, that's a bit of a shame, I'm afraid. We were hoping to see the Ford GT within the top 10 here. But it wasn't to be for tonight either. Matt Sisler there comes home in 11th place. We're gonna get the overall results on screen in not too long, but this gentleman is gonna be elated with the result today, of course. Not happy, I think, about the bad luck of his teammate, but it's certainly been drama-filled, to say the very least here, Edward.
Yeah, I mean, what a championship. What a finale we've been treated to, Hasse. But I'll tell you what, the journey has been brilliant as well. We've had some great races all along the way, some amazing moments. I mean, amazing rounds as well. Monza, for me, sticks out in the mind of one of the most dramatic and great rounds of this championship. But then here at Okayama, late, dramatic end to the season, to the championship, Hasse. So if you've got confirmation, though, that you can run us through.
Yes. Indeed. Oh, yes, indeed. Matthew Forrest, our series champion, season 2 of the Sunday GT Masters. Nicolas Cucato gets second on the day here for Virtua Racing, with Remco Barlow ending up on the podium ahead of Nuno Vinagre, then Savino Melillo, Sander Kaffa, José Godinho, Stephen Orwell, Cody Steek, and Stuart Jacklin sneaking into the top 10. Matt Sisler ahead of Chris Roberts, then Robert van der Heuvel, Pedro Marimon Cladera, and Ocon Kolak in 15th place ahead of Craig Thompson, then Sandro Orsini and Alfredo Tricorici. Just gonna move on down. These are the stricken souls, I'm afraid. There, Pete Plastow. What a heartbreak for Pete Plastow to end the season in this way. Losing the championship there. Martin de Jong in 20th place, losing 8 laps after his early incident. Then Timothy van der Broek, Mariano Lasarte, Dirk Reski, Damien Copa, Gaston Maceroni, and Dirk Brinksma rounding out the 26 strong grid here for today. And for today as well, it's going to be Edward May with the interviews as they happen in just a few minutes here. Or minutes, dare I say. I think hoping it's going to be, and it does indeed look to be, more like moments than minutes here, Edward.
Yeah, definitely. We can bring in our race victor and, I believe, season champion for the Sunday GT Masters, Matt Forrest. You did everything right today. You did what you need to do. Need a bit of luck your way, but you come out of this with not only the race victory, but also the championship victory. Talk us through how you're feeling now, mate.
I'm literally in shock. I've only just found out 2 seconds ago, 2 minutes ago, when I joined back into the chat, because I don't attend the chat normally on the Discord while I'm racing, and I just found out then. But I'm stunned and chuffed.
It was definitely dramatic, mate, but that was one heck of a drive. There was drama into turn 1, of course, with one of the championship rivals for you for second place, seemingly wrapped up with I think it was Martin de Jong involved into turn 1. And were you thinking at that point, right, P2 is good enough for me, or did you think maybe the win could still be on of the championship should something happen to your teammate in behind?
Oh, I thought, I'd missed that race earlier on in the year in August when I went to Spa to see the other race that didn't really happen. I was resigned to the fact that, if Pete just finishes, and he's been so consistent, that I'd be P2. So to finish P1 in the race and then P1 in the championship it's pretty impressive. I'm amazed.
And yeah, I mean, just talk us through your journey through the season. Like you said, you missed out on a few rounds. You had some unfortunate times at other rounds. I think Spa was one that stands out for me, which was a rare off day for you. But then the rest of the season, from the early hiccups as well into Imola, you've been very, very strong and taken the most amount of race victories and pole positions of any driver this season.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the racing. It's I take it one race at a time, and the guys push me more and more through the year. I was looking pretty comfortable in June, July time, and then it started to go a little bit wrong. Obviously, the season updates for the new Ferrari and the Audi made a massive difference with the new tarmac, and it's taken me a bit of a time to get used to that. But yeah, I'm still sweating and recovering. But it's been a good season, not just for me, but the whole team as well.
Talk us through the car as well, because you were kind of out on your own there. Not many drivers opting for the Lamborghini, but you stuck by it, you went for it, and talk us through how it was across the whole season with different developments through there, and especially this final round, because the car looked absolutely perfect for you out there.
I mean, I love the Lambo. I did drive the Ferrari the other day just for a bit of fun around Le Mans with Pete, which was very interesting, which was fun. But the Lambo in the fixed, it just seems to be right. And I know that I'm not always the best with the setups after that, but if you can get it in the window and you don't overcook the tyres early on, which the back end just always comes around once you cook the tyres, it's actually a nice car to drive. It's still a bit slidey, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a very well managed race from you, though. It was basically the Matthew Forrest show up in front, and it has been for majority of the races this season. So congratulations on a very hard fought, but definitely well-deserved championship. Before we let you go and celebrate with your teammates, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, lots. Obviously yourselves, you've done great all season. Robert and Dirk for obviously running this, and SimracerCoin, and Driver 61, and obviously my team, Pete, Chris, Craig, Eric, Nick. They've all been amazing this season. It's been a lot of fun racing in this league.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Good to have you on board. Hopefully we'll see you for the next season competing on the grid, see what you can do to maybe try and defend and hold on to your crown.
Cheers, thank you.
And with that, Hasse, Matt Forrest will exit the comms box, and we can have a chat to have a second place waiting in the wings. But someone that we do have is third place driver. We can speak to him now, Remco Barlow, who joins us in the chat. Good to have a word with you, Remco. That was a very interesting strategy decision you made early on, going for a slightly earlier pit stop. But you know what? It worked out for you to finish P3.
Yeah, it's something I've done before in other races, especially into the GT3 VRS seasons. If I can't get on my own pace because of someone driving in front of me who is just a little bit slower, what I do is I go to the pit, and then I do my pit as fast as possible, and my laps after that I try to do them as fast as possible, and if that's going well, then I end up in front of them. So yeah, it worked out perfectly as well today, so very happy with it.
Yeah, you went for the undercut that seemed to work very well for you. Of course, with the back marker traffic, though, what were the nerves like when you were seeing and you realised that you had to get through a fair few cars while you were waiting for Nuno Vinagre and Kagato to come into the pits.
Well, to be honest, I only had 2 cars in front of me, and both of them let me through. So after that, I got free air all the time. So it was like a blessing. So
Yeah, definitely. And then also talk us through the start of the race, because there was a lot of drama there, wasn't there, into turn 1, cold tyres. What was your making of it?
well, I was starting, and all of a sudden there was smoke and car parts everywhere. So I thought, well, maybe I can get a good chance in position right now. But then all of a sudden a Mercedes was in front of me, so I had to brake very hard too, and lost a few positions because of that. But yeah, it's such a shame that this way has the championship potential for Madden. But yeah, things happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, things happen in championships that sometimes you get misfortune, sometimes you get a bit of fortune your way. But I think over the balance of the season, it worked out both ways. It was just a shame that it happened so late in the day for, like you mentioned, the past hour. But of course, for you, good race for you. Good job on the podium finish as well, mate. Before we say goodbye to you and let you celebrate with your teammates, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I would like to do a shout out, of course, to Martin, because he got me into Sunday GT Masters, and I also would like to do a shout out to SimracerCoin. That's something I'm working on with a lot of people, including Martin. So thank you for that, and also thank you two guys for the commentaries every time, because I love them.
Oh, no worries. We love commentating on them. We love seeing all of you out here for the Sunday GT Masters. You've given us a real treat here at Okayama, mate.
All right, thank you, mate. Have a nice evening.
You too, man. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Oh, there we go. Remco Barlow exiting the cars box, and got time for, I think, one more interview. Was a driver that was able to come out on top, but still did a very good job to get back out there, back on the saddle after dramas early on. Martin de Jong joins us in the Coles box. And Martin, it's a shame to speak to you like this after everything that happened at the early phase of the race, but just reflect on the championship as a whole, and the performances you've been doing across the season have been brilliant, haven't they?
Yeah, thank you. And they have. Regarding this race, I'm kind of crying a little bit. I mean, I had a really good start to begin with, and wasn't a jump start, by the way. I heard one of you two said it, but as long as you don't overtake the leader before the line, then you're always fine. So I reacted pretty good on Matthew, and actually was settled into the first turn when, unluckily, I got hit from behind after some scuffle behind me, and that was about it. And in the end, I just did my best to get at least the fastest lap in the race, which I did.
Oh, right, great stuff. Get a fastest lap even with a battered and bruised car, but yeah, like you said, it was a little bit unfortunate. I mean, I wasn't the one who said that you were jumping the start. I knew that if you're on the right-hand line, you don't overtake the other cars. You're usually quite all right, so I don't worry about it. But no, it's great to at least see you in slightly higher spirits. To be fair, I was expecting you to be, absolutely inconsolable, but I think it's a bit more consolation of the fact that you gave it your best out there, and you've given your best all season long. There's been some amazing performances, some great highlights throughout the season. I know for me, watching some of the races, that Monza was a great race, but are there any other races, any other performances from you from this season that stick out in your mind if you think, yeah, that was good?
Last race, of course, Suzuka. I mean, that one was a little bit of walk in the park. I really enjoyed that one, not only because I've won, but I really enjoyed driving on that circuit. And Alton Park really stands out for me, which was the race I finished behind Matthew, if I'm correct. Yeah, but I was on him all the time, and it would have taken like just only one little mistake to get in front. And I think the biggest down, apart from this race, I think was Spa, which in the end costed me a lot. The issue in Eau Rouge and Radion, where I in the end couldn't avoid Maseroni, and then didn't get any points. But yeah, with this race, it doesn't matter anyway. But I do want to congratulate Matthew with the win. Unfortunately, also due to some coming together with Pete and Backmarker, from what I understood. So it's a bummer that it ends like this. But I mean, if you look at the number of total wins, on the other end, he's a deserved championship winner.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can say that both drivers have had, I think, an equal share of bad luck. It's just a shame that Pete's came so late in the season, wasn't it, at the final stage where it'll hurt that little bit more. But of course, I think both of those drivers, I think all three of you, to be fair, coming into this final round, we're all in the equation and would definitely come out deserved champions. But I'll tell you what, Martin, it's been great to watch you all season long. Great to watch all of the drivers all season long. And you're going to be our last interview for this season. Is there anybody you would like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, again, as always, Robert, thank you very, very much for hosting the great series. I mean, can't wait until the next year. I know some things still need to get arranged, but I'm positive that everything will come together in the end. And you guys also for the great commentary every week. And if there is a next season, or when there is a next season, you can at least write down another Ford driver just for the memes.
We'll see what we can do, mate. Thank you, Martin. It's great to have a word with you. Great to speak to you after what's been a brilliant championship from you. Take care, man.
Thank you very much.
And with that, Hasse, it's all the time I think we have for this evening on Sim Racers World TV for the Sunday GT Masters, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. It is going to be the end of the seasons, and I'm afraid to say it's with a tear in my eye. A slight one indeed. It's been good. It's been great having you all along to give us a subscription for more good iRacing content here on Sim Racers World TV. And then from Edward May and myself, Hasse Rømer, I'm afraid that all that remains to be said is thank you so much for tuning in with us here throughout the year, throughout the season. It's been great indeed. I wish you all a Merry Christmas, a very Happy New Year, and we will indeed see you in 2022.